The red fox, a species present in the UK for thousands of years. Known for their striking coats, piercing eyes, their famous bushy tail, and the ability to live side by side with us humans, they are a truly exceptional species. Found throughout the Northern Hemisphere, the red fox is known for its adaptability and is now a species of our urban environments just as much as the rural countryside. But despite their intelligence and versatile nature, these beautiful creatures sometimes need our help. Each spring, fox cubs are born in dens scattered across the UK. But sadly, many become orphans. Red foxes are a species that face many threats and in the wild rarely live longer than 18 months. We caught up with Jamie Kingscott. So tell us a bit about the process from when you get orphan fox cubs in right up to them being released back into the wild.
So if foxes come in as orphans, then they're going to be with us for quite a few months. In the early days when they're really quite young, and they're not opening their eyes, that they're not even orange yet. A lot of people don't necessarily recognise them as a fox at that age. They get confused with kittens, with puppies, with all sorts. It's a case of feeding them every 2 hours, moving on to every 3 hours, day and night. And then gradually they move through the milk stage and onto solids, and we wean them. And as soon as we can have them less dependent on people, we do. It's important that those foxes don't become habituated to people, and we like to keep them wild.
When fox cubs are born, they are deaf, blind, and completely reliant on their mothers for everything. So without a mother, their care falls into the hands of the team. When cubs first come into the world, they have short black fur, which they will begin to molt at around 4 weeks old. This is a telltale sign of how young orphans are when they come in, and some are tiny.
We want to get them independent of people as quickly as we can. We want them to know that they're foxes. So the sooner we can get them, not depending on being fed regularly by us, and they can eat for themselves and be away from us, that's the best.
The team at Secret World Wildlife Rescue invest hours of time and care into rehabilitating wildlife, and they understand the importance of giving every single animal the best chance of surviving in the wild. That's why they focus on soft releases, meaning the orphans will be placed in pre-release pens for quite some time, so they can get a feel for being in the wild.
So most of the fox cubs, in that stage of their life, they tend to come in at sort of February, March time, and they'll be with us until late summer, early autumn, and we'd then release them when they would naturally disperse from their natal territory in the wild. So late summer, early autumn, August sort of time.
We've had a look at some of the footage from your pre-release pens. I mean, they seem to give you a bit of a runaround, don't they?
They really do. Those pre-release pens are really important, that once those foxes have less of a dependency on us for hands-on rearing, they can go up there and live wild and be wild and, develop those wild behaviours amongst other young foxes.
And when you rescue a fox, are you able to release it back to where it came from, or is it a bit more complex than that?
It's generally the plan, if we can, is to put them back where they came from. They'll have a territory, they know the area, they need to get back there, and the longer they're with us, the more likely they are to lose that territory. With orphans, it's quite different. They don't have a territory and they don't have much experience in the wild, so we do a soft release process where I do need to find them a new release site, somewhere that I can see, to the best of my ability, is suitable and is safe from the various different threats that foxes face.
Hand-reared orphans would never have known anything different than being in a wildlife rescue centre. So this stage is incredibly important for them and allows them to become wild foxes under the watchful eye of the care team. Science has found that social hierarchy is developed in fox cubs very early on, and through play they develop vital skills for hunting and communication. So it is important that they develop these skills with one another as soon as possible. It's Jamie's job to catch and release the foxes when they are ready to go, and they can certainly give him a bit of a runaround on release day.
That early morning where we have to come in to move those fox cubs to their release site can be a real task when you've got to chase up 4 or 5, maybe 6 young foxes who are going to give you the runaround. They really, really will. They'll go up the fence, they'll jump around. But it's good, it's reassuring. Like I said, they need to be fast, they need to be agile to survive in the wild, to be successful. And I always wish I could explain to them, don't worry, you know, we're going to do something nice here. I'm not trying to hurt you. Once I get you in this release pen, you never have to see me again. So it is reassuring, but it can be a pain.
This may seem a bit traumatic, but this is the exact behaviour the team want to see, as the foxes are acting exactly as they should in the wild.
It is a lot of pressure when you consider the amount of work and effort that goes into the rescue and the rehabilitation of all these different species. We deal with just over 5,000 animals a year, and I've got to try and get as many of them as I can back to the wild. We always try and monitor them post-release to see how they get on. It's not really enough to just release them and think, brilliant, fine, and wash your hands of it. It's important to know that what we've done and the whole process has worked, and that we've done right by the foxes, and that they are going to survive and thrive and hopefully breed in the wild. And that can be difficult because foxes can be quite elusive, and trying to keep track of them once they're out there in the wild can be tricky, but we do our best.
Sadly, not all foxes can be released. Over the years, Secret World has rescued foxes that have been cruelly kept as pets. Unfortunately, these animals would never survive in the wild, as they have become so accustomed to humans, they would end up in some sort of trouble. Thankfully, the team have taken on a few foxes that could never be released back into the wild, and they are now residents. They are looked after by the charity and now live happily in their huge enclosure and are cared for by the team, so they can live out the rest of their days spending time with these beautiful animals. There is no doubt how remarkable and awe-inspiring they are, and I'm so pleased that places like Secret World Wildlife Rescue are here to help them, as they really are so special.